people got big old heads in my room. They're lucky they have a 3%. 3%.
3%.
Don't do diddly squat. 3%.
This is a teacher in Pike County, an art teacher at Belfry Middle School.
You don't do anything. You're wasting space.
This is Alice
You're
Smith.
taking up space.
Alice Smith's 6-period study
You're breathing
skills
air somebody
class.
else could benefit from. You stay home. Be homeschooled.
Be homeschooled. That's what you need to do.
And let your parents school you.
You're taking up space.
That's what you do. You have 3% in my room.
3%. 3.
Some of the easiest workbooks ever grade because they don't do anything.
So it's Pike County.
Completely blank. Blank.
Alice Smith.
Not anything done.
Bell.
Easiest workbooks to grade. I've never seen a victim in my life. Never seen a victim in my life. It's horrible. Pathetic.
Pathetic.
Yesterday they embarrassed me to death.
Embarrassed me.
Embarrassed me. This is the gym where the better people like to do. Couldn't shut that mouth. Had a grandparent come in here, couldn't shut their mouth. And if today was right, still couldn't shut their mouth.
So I'm going to talk about the white psychopaths out of Kentucky. So the white psychopaths, there's a ton of psychopaths, and there's two particular qualities to every psychopath. All serial killers are psychopaths, but not all psychopaths are serial killers. A psychopath has two distinguishable qualities to them. One is a lack of anxiety. They don't care what other people think. They could care less. It's only about them. They're narcissistic. They have an extreme love for themselves. They walk into a room only caring about themselves, their brains, their consciousness, their thoughts. They have no anxiety, no compunction to giving a shit to what other people think. Most people say they don't care what other people think, but they say it out loud, right? I don't care what other people think, as I say to the crowd of people. I don't care what people think. If I didn't care, why would I say anything? Why would I even tell somebody that didn't care? Okay, so psychopaths has two qualities. They have a lack of anxiety, right, which makes sense, and they have lack of empathy, okay, which is the bigger one. The lack of empathy, a serial killer can murder a person because they don't care about that person. That they think of that person as an object, as, you know, just a pillow. It's just an object. Who cares? I can't actually empathize with you. I cannot put myself in your shoes. Or the serial killer cannot put themselves in their victim's shoes, right? And since they can't put themselves in their victim's shoes, they kill them like they're just an object, like a pillow or, I don't know, a football or something. So those are two distinguishable qualities for psychopaths. Now, I've been beefing with this anonymous topix.com user. It goes by LOL Nate Higgers and LOL Nate Higgers and Neutral Party. He's been going by Neutral Party, just an arrogant fucking dick, anonymous prick, just a fucking shithead, an absolute psychopath. But we started out, this entire thing started out because he wanted to post a ton of racist posts. And so, in response to those racist posts, I said racism is dumb. It's 2013. Martin Luther King got shot for some obvious shit in 68, right? And he got shot in Memphis, Tennessee, because he said that you should judge a person by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's why he got shot. That was in the 60s. That was a really long time ago. People were dumb and ignorant back then. This is 40, 50 years later, and we still got fucking inbred, dumb fuck, racist, authoritarian, diffused, fucking racist, fucking redneck, fucking just white trash psychopaths, okay? So we started beefing, and he probably more radicalized my perspective when it comes to race than any other person. So in some respects, your enemies teach you something, right? They teach you something about yourself. But the way he would argue would just be like a psychopath. He's a racist. He hates black people. If you ain't down with that, he hates you. And which is, the inevitable result of hatred. You have that ball of hatred. Oh, I hate black people. You don't hate black people. Now I hate you. Now I hate you. Now I hate you. Now I hate everybody. I'm just full of hate. And that's a white supremacist psychopath. So it's some of the shit and some of the says and tactics that he's used is ridiculous. It's fucking bullshit. I'm not going to mention him because I'm not going to give him any more power than what he's anonymous. So he's been doing this for about 3 or 4 years, just fucking talking so much trash. It's ridiculous. So I wanted to, he radicalized my opinion when it came to race, and he's sitting there talking about how bad black people are. Now, it's fucked up that anybody in Kentucky would even have any dislike or hate for black folks, since it's a majority white population. Go to Appalachia, and there's virtually no black people in eastern Kentucky. And there's 22% in Louisville, 22%. And Louisville is the chocolate city. It's the metropolis. It's the black metropolis of Kentucky, and it has 22%. So that's, it's not a majority. It's, Cincinnati, downtown Cincinnati has a majority of black folks. And so there are some regions of the world where the black folks are the majority, but nowhere in Kentucky. So when you show a hatred for a minority group, when you show hatred, because one fucking asshole down the street, maybe you don't like them for some fucking apparent reason, that says so much about who the fuck you are. It says you're an ignorant, stupid-ass bigot, right? And if you're an ignorant, stupid-ass bigot, that says a lot about you. It says that you're ignorant and stupid. You don't care about knowledge or science or progress. You don't appreciate other people's cultures. And if you can't appreciate other people's cultures, black folks' cultures, you can't really appreciate anybody's culture, right? It goes back to that narcissistic thing. They only give a fuck about themselves. And so he radicalized my opinion when it comes to my thoughts on race. And he's sitting there pointing out, saying, black folks, the crime statistics, there's high prison rates, and some other things, which I'm not convinced by any fucking thing he says at all. Okay, he's just a prick, and he says stupid shit just to be saying it. But what I am, everything he mentions that has any truth to, like prison rates, okay, that could be that, there are black folks who are violent and who are behind prison. What is more likely is that black folks are in prison due to the oppression of the totalitarian racial dictatorship that they've had to live under in America their entire lives. So the prison rates, high prison rates, since it's disproportionately or more black folks disproportionately, that could show what he's saying, but most likely it's not. Most likely what high prison rates are showing is that black folks are being victimized more than anybody else, being victimized for petty things, for nonviolent things. And when you throw someone in jail, the way our society deals with people in jail, the idea is that a man can change, but we don't send them to rehab. We don't try to give them any type of environmental changes or conditions or change his social conditions to where he could actually be able to grow and be a productive citizen. Instead, we lock them up, we punish them, and we use punitive damage to hurt them and try to smash them into submission. That's a huge problem. Malcolm X says if you're black, you're born in jail. There's a bunch of black folks in jail now. It's still happening. There's still institutional racism. It's still bullshit. And it's a waste of everybody's. It's a waste of taxpayer money to be able to feed and clothe, all the jail inmates. And rehab would actually work to benefit bringing the folks back into society as productive members. When you throw people into jail and treat them like dogs, they are talking with other dogs, right? The other people that are being treated like shit. Rape is all over the place. And they're basically getting a master's, a PhD in criminology. They're learning, they're meeting drug dealers, murderers, or meeting all these vicious, horrible criminals in prison, and they're also getting the same mark, of being a person who's going to jail. So you're a criminal, so that's where you belong, but, I went to jail for jaywalking, say I went to jail for jaywalking. Does that entitle, does that the proper punishment for a jaywalker? Get them molested, beat up, $28,000 in damages, medical bills, humiliation, throw felony charges. I mean, that's what we do with jaywalkers in Louisville. And unfortunately, that is what we do. That's the white psychopaths, the tradition of white psychopathy in Kentucky has continued on. It's continued on very strong. So, with this video, and I guess a couple of them, because I have a list of white psychopaths, male white psychopaths. I'll start out with the female psychopath, and she is a psycho. The fact that she's an oppressor, she's a dictator, she's a teacher, she's in that position. You can be benevolent or you can be an asshole, and she's a dick. She's sitting there saying, you guys are losers, you're just taking up space, go get homeschooled, get the fuck out of here. You heard the bell ring, and they just couldn't wait to get out. And so she has no empathy for her students. She does not care. She has a lack of anxiety, being the boss and yelling all those commands and orders. She has no compunction for what other people think. She has no empathy. She don't care. She can't put herself in their position, so therefore she don't care what they actually think about her. And, you know, they're oppressors. And maybe I have a simplistic view of the world, but I only see three types of people. There's the oppressors and the oppressed. And then there's everybody else, the people who try to work on equality and trying to work on equal respect and having a critical consciousness, not just working on controlling and using power tactics to oppress others. So I might not even get to my list right now. But I'm going to go with Hunter S. Thompson. He's a Louisvillian, one of the most famous Louisvillians here. He wrote The Great Shark Hunt. This book was, written maybe a decade ago. Gonzo Papers, and maybe more, I don't know. But he's talking about Richard Nixon on page 337. He's talking about how Richard Nixon, probably one of the most famous white psychopaths in all of American history, was tapping everywhere, everything that he wanted to tap. Now, Nixon tapped his administration and his self and all the people around him for a different reason than why Bush and Obama are tapping everybody. Bush and Obama, they're wiretapping everybody in order to get information on you so they can dig up dirt and use it against you. Nixon, he was tapping everybody so history would know everything that he said and did, and that way he would be remembered into antiquity. We can all study everything that he done. So page 337, in the cabinet room, for instance, Nixon had microphones built into the bases of the wall lamps, so he could turn on or off with harmless-looking buzzers labeled Haldeman and Butterfield on the rug underneath the cabinet table in front of his chair. The tapes and recording equipment were installed in a locked closet in the basement of the West Wing, but Nixon could start the reel rolling by simply pressing on the floor buzzer marked Butterfield with the toe of his shoe. And to stop the reels, putting the machinery back on standby, he could step on the Haldeman button. Any serious description of Nixon's awesome tape recording system would take thousands of words and boggle the minds of most laymen. But even this quick capsule is enough to suggest two fairly obvious but rarely mentioned conclusions. Anybody with this kind of a tape system installed and maintained 24 hours a day by Secret Service electronics experts is going to consistently produce extremely high quality voice reproductions. And since the White House Personnel Office can hire the best transcribing typist available and provide them with the best tape transcribing machinery in the market, there is only one conceivable reason for those thousands of maddening, strategically spotted unintelligibles in the Nixon version of the White House tapes. So, he edited all the tapes that were turned over. Then he mentions how Richard Nixon is just going to get a shit ton of fucking money, $2 million for his presidential memoir. Some publishing house will just sell them out, and then the book will probably sell for about $15 because people are stupid enough to buy it. So here's a psychopathic man. He says he leaves in disgrace. He hated Nixon, okay? Hunter S. Thompson absolutely hated Richard Nixon. He loved hating Nixon. He even talks about how he's a little bit sad when Nixon left because who's he going to hate now? There is nobody else more wretched and more despicable, more of a fucking creep than Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, the titan of fucking white psychopaths in America. The absolute pinnacle of not being able to empathize. He's a politician. Politicians, there's a study that came out that says the majority of our politicians in this country have the qualities of psychopaths. They can't empathize with others. They have no anxiety. And unfortunately, in a capitalistic society, a dog-eat-dog society, those who can fuck over others think Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney and that holding company where he would buy all those businesses and gut them and chop them out and sell them all, right? Take all their assets and then sell the company. So he would get a lot of people fired, people lose their jobs, but being a capitalist, he was saving that company by saving the assets, getting rid of all the expenses, and salvaging what little bit they had left. So in our society, we celebrate psychopaths. We exalt them. So Richard Nixon, is a psychopath. Hunter S. Thompson might be a psychopath too, but he's like Che Guevara psycho, right? Or Lenin, his psychopath comes out of love. Hunter S. Thompson, one last point I want to mention about Hunter S. Thompson. He wrote the incredible, eloquent line about how the 60s failed, about how the tide went up to a certain watermark and then it all just washed back. It seemed inevitable. They thought they was going to win, just like Russell Brand. The revolution is inevitable. We're going to win. But we didn't do it in the 60s, and we might not do it now.